What's up, everyone? It's been a while since I've added anything over here on this channel, and I apologize for the delay. Something amazing happened in September, which we're going to talk about in this video, and then I got back home and it was a hurricane. Then I had the fatigue of the hurricane. Then I was prepping for a conference. Then I was actually out in California for a while, and then I was at a conference, and then I came back home and I'm on the tail end of being sick. With that being said, there might be some choppy editing because the more I talk, the more irritated my throat gets, and sometimes I go into coughing fits. So I apologize now ahead of time for that. But it has just literally been nonstop, and this is so important because what happened in September was incredibly valuable to me, and I believe it's going to be incredibly valuable to you. So what I'm going to be sharing today is how I unexpectedly ended up at Clickfunnels HQ to be live in person for Russell Brunson's Selling Online Challenge. Before we dive in, I want to note two things. The first thing is this is not going to be a super long, super detailed video where I break down every little thing that I've learned, because I want you to experience it for yourself. I actually did a longer debrief inside of Higher Calling Creative Club, which is my paid membership where I teach people all about branding and design and funnels and everything that I've learned in the creative and marketing experience. I am teaching and coaching and mentoring people in that community. So I did a longer debrief for them. But in this video, I'm going to kind of give you the Sparks Notes version with how I even ended up at HQ, why I was there, what I learned while I was there. I'm just going to give you a few little nuggets. And then, of course, I'm going to encourage you to do the challenge yourself, which brings us to number 2. Yes, I am an affiliate for this challenge. You will see my link below. And if you watch the video, I will be dropping a bonus at some point during this video if you want to do the challenge using my link. Now, I just want to say really quickly, I know sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but I've seen it happen several times where I'll just see people just randomly promoting products and I'm like, are they actually using this product, or is it because like it has a really good commission on the back end of it? So I just want to put a disclaimer out there that I am very picky about the products that I promote. And I'm telling you this because it kind of plays into how I ended up at ClickFunnels HQ, because it's a little bit different than the norm of what I would typically do. So you know what, let's just go ahead and dive in and let me tell you the full story. So a few months ago, I got an email saying that Russell was going to be doing a brand new challenge. It was going to be unlike anything he's ever done before. And of course, I always love seeing what he's up to. I love studying him as a marketer. I love to funnel hack their funnels to see what they're doing and how they're communicating with people and the sequence on the pages and of course the design. And so as I was going through this funnel, I was like, wait a second. I actually need to take this challenge because, in full transparency, I suck at selling. I have been in the process of figuring out like my rates and my prices for what seems like forever, to be honest. And I had been recently finding out that there are other people who are not as qualified as me who are charging 2 to 3 times the amount as me. And I was so discouraged, and I was like, man, I need to figure out how to sell what I do a whole lot better. But not only that, I also need to learn how to sell one-to-many, because I've been stuck in this selling one-to-one model for quite some time. It has its pros, it has its cons. And now that I have my own school group, I would love to start doing a more one-to-many sort of thing. So as I was reading through the copy on this, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. This is amazing. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And it is a paid challenge model. So in the challenge world, I guess I'll kind of like teach you some of the stuff while we're in it. In the challenge world, you've got a tiny challenge model, right? That's Richmond Din's thing. Then you have a free challenge model, and then you have a paid challenge model. And if any of you guys are familiar with ClickFunnels world, you went to FHL, you heard Russell say that paid challenges are the way to go over the next 2 years. So this is the landing page at the bottom. It has a checkout. It's $100 to do the challenge. Then after this page, they take you to a VIP VIP page. This is very traditional in challenge funnels, even on a free one, where you typically you invite people to upgrade to VIP on the second page. What is unique with how Russell did it is there were 2 VIP options. So either way you did it, you were a VIP. You got access to the VIP day. However, the biggest difference was if you paid a little bit more, you actually had the opportunity to ask Russell anything live on the call, which I think that is an amazing no-brainer deal, right? And you would get the challenge recordings as well, which typically for us, we don't usually do that. We want people to show up live and engage, and we give quick replays with the challenges, like 24-hour replays, and we'll take the challenge recordings down at the replays at the end of it. And then we offer challenge recordings like on the back end with an offer. But Russell's always done the challenge recordings on the front end, and that also works as well. It's totally up to you. And so he had these VIP options. And then on the last page, the confirmation page, your challenge confirmation page, typically next steps, right? So save the dates, join a group. For Russell, it was school, which I thought was a really cool experience and model. I think it's smart with what he's doing. Typically for us, it's a Facebook group. And then if it's a non-VIP buyer, you typically have a section repitching VIP, and you can add whatever other details you want on that confirmation page. What they did, which was so unique and so cool, is they found a way to auto populate an affiliate code for you right then and there. So they were like, hey, share, I don't know the language, but it was something like, hey, share this with your friends and have them join you. Here's your affiliate link. For every person you signed up, you will get the $100. And I was like, what? Now, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm very picky about the things that I promote. But for me, this was a no-brainer because I've done so many of Russell's challenges. I know, like, and trust Russell. My life has been changed from Russell's teachings and trainings. And of course, with my mentorship and friendship with Pedro Deo, which he gets mentored from Russell and his friends Russell, right? So it's kind of just like gone through a downline. So it made total sense for me to go ahead and share that link with other people. So I took that link and I decided to share it on Facebook, and then the post didn't get a lot of engagement. And then I decided to write an email out and invite people to join me. And I sent it out to my email list, which at that time, I think I had about 700 people on my list. And that was it. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't check the affiliate area, like the portal, to see like how many clicks I got or how many people signed up. I just left it as it is. And I was like, okay, it'll be cool if as one person buys, I'll be excited. Or if more people buy, that'd be really cool. But I'm going to do this challenge and see how it is. So this was back in August. I attended the challenge. The challenge was amazing. And I didn't get to attend the entire thing because, of course, naturally, with working with Pedro Deo, we have a lot of stuff on our plate and meetings and things like that. And so I did miss bits and pieces. But for the bits and pieces I did attend of the challenge, I thought it was one of Russell's best challenges. I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to have to watch the replays or do this again. So a few weeks later, I'm in school. And of course, I have my own community. I'm part of other people's schools, and I'm part of Doug Bowden's program. He's got a great program where he teaches people how to start their own school communities. And while in there, I got tagged in a post. And so I looked at the notification, and this is the notification. Huge congrats, everyone. And then he goes to say, I'm excited to meet all of you at Clickfunnels HQ next week for the event live in person. And I see my name on that list, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. What is this? I mean, literally, here's my response. Hold up. I had no idea about this because I genuinely didn't even know that there was like a contest or anything. And so sure enough, he pointed me to this video, and there was my name on that list. And I was so confused. So I immediately went to my affiliate portal, and I sat in even more confusion. And I don't know if they mind me sharing this story, but I'm just going to be like fully transparent with this. Okay. And I promise this is going to kind of tie back together in the end. But I was like, this has to be a mistake. This has to be a mistake because I only have one affiliate sale. So either other people signed up and I'm not seeing it, or maybe not a lot of people actually affiliated for this challenge and I just got lucky, or who knows, maybe it's a God thing. I honestly have no idea. So I sat there and I was like, well, I haven't heard anything from the ClickFunnels team. Surely they're probably thinking of another Alyssa Avila's out there in the ClickFunnels universe, because I'm Puerto Rican. It's a very common name. So maybe it's not me. But guys, sure enough, a few hours later, I did get an email confirming that it was indeed me. Now, also in full transparency, it has been a very financially draining summer. It has been one large expense after another large expense after another one, and business was slow during the summer. So it was really tough, and this was definitely not in the budget to be booking a last minute trip with flight and hotel and everything out there. But this was a no-brainer to be invited out there to have this opportunity. I, of course, needed to do it. So I went on Priceline. I got a bundle for my flight, hotel, and car. And within a few days, I was already on the plane out to Boise, Idaho to be here for the event. What makes this so special to me is I have been using ClickFunnels now since about 2018. In another video, I share my whole story. But thanks to Pedro Deo, he was like, hey, you should look into ClickFunnels and start learning how to build funnels, not only from a design strategy, but you should also learn the marketing strategy and all of these things. And so I've spent years now studying this and learning this and implementing these things. And I've never been to ClickFunnels HQ. I've never been invited out to ClickFunnels HQ. I have been behind the scenes. So I kind of met people here and there, but it's not like I'm buddies with the team or anyone else. I just recently got invited to be an ambassador. I just recently started doing affiliate stuff for them. And so this was really exciting to have done all of this stuff over the last few years, and then for them to be like, hey, we want you to come out, like be here in person, spend time with us. And I knew it was going to be a very small group. And I don't take it for granted, because I know people pay thousands and thousands of dollars to be in a room like this with people like this and to have this experience and to be able to ask Russell anything. So I was like, yes, I'm going to be there. I'm going to show up. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to pay attention. And I was just so excited about this. So I got to Boise really late, and I asked the car rental lady, like, hey, is there any place that's open for me to grab a quick bite? And she's like, we have an In-N-Out. And I was like, what? You have an In-N-Out in Boise, Idaho? What? And so I went there and I'm gluten-free, so I had to have like a protein style burger, which still, that hit. That was like a perfect way to end the night. So the next morning I wake up and I go over to ClickFunnels HQ for the very first day of this event. And I walk in and they have a table with like our name badges on there. And I thankfully already knew some people. I'm very introverted, so I don't really like to go to things if I don't know anybody there. But thankfully, like I had been talking with Doug Bowden because I'm in his group, and I had known another guy, Frank, from Funnel Hacking Live. And I know a few people on the ClickFunnels team. And so it was just great getting to see these people again in real life and getting to talk with them. After I got my name badge, I went into this room that they have set up to do challenges and events and their mastermind stuff. And it was really cool getting to be in that space and see all the technology and the team in action. So they have like a huge LED wall here in the back, which you can see on the right-hand side, and has everyone on Zoom there. And then they have an LED wall on the front. They have this little stage, and then they have, you know, some projectors for showing their slides. They have the TVs up at the front with notes and things like that. So it's a pretty cool setup. I really like that the way they have this set up. So they had tables, and we all took our seats to get ready for the day. And this is, even though it's a challenge, I would say it was more like a really long live event, right? And technically challenges, yes, are live events, but typically a challenge would be like an hour training, an hour of VIP. This was an event because it was like 6 hours of training. They're very long days. So sat down with my notes and we dove into day one. Like I mentioned earlier on, I'm not going to go over every single detail, but I do want to share some core things. And this is a really important thing. And this is one of the reasons why I really love this challenge. So on day one, he went into talking about how our brains work and how they function and how we think and how we see things. And for me, this was really cool to kind of dive a lot deeper into this, because it's something that I have struggled with over the years of being self-employed and being an entrepreneur myself. And if any of you guys are kind of newer in this journey, this is just gold to really understand, because I kept hearing for years as I was trying to figure this stuff out that the way that you think, and if you change your thinking, you will become more successful. And I was like, man, that's such BS. But the thing is, when I did start doing more personal development and reading more and learning more and shifting the way that I see the world and shifting the way I see certain things, things started to fall more in place and I started to take more action. And it does totally change your story and it does totally change your life. So I really love that he spent some time focusing on this. The other thing that I really love, you can kind of see here in the doodle, is he's got some animals and you might be like, what does this even mean? That's kind of confusing. And I get it. You actually might see some ads, Russell holding up these plushies. And I really like that he did this because I'm a visual person naturally. I'm a visual person myself. And data shows that when you show visuals while you're teaching something, it's easier for people to remember the content. So I thought it was really smart of him to use these animals and these plushies to tell this story with how the brain works. And so I'm, again, not going to go too much into details with that, but you can see from these screenshots what these different animals represent. And then, of course, I had to get a photo with the animals myself. And besides talking about the brain, he talked about these other things. Let me remove my image really quick so you can see the list. So he went over the 3 types of selling one-to-one, selling one-to-many, and then having fully automated sales funnels created. Like I just mentioned, he went over how the brain works and rewiring it. He talked about the power of subconscious storytelling. And then I thought that this was a pretty smart move on his part. He brought in McCall Jones. She has been speaking at FHL several times. She has this very fun and energetic personality. She has something called charisma hacking because a lot of people like myself, especially if we're introverted, we kind of see these other big names on stages and we think like, oh, well, they're successful because they can put themselves out there and they can do all of these things. And she has studied thousands of people and realize that, you know, all of us have our different ways that we show up and the different ways that we perform and the different ways that we teach and the different ways that we sell. And so she called it charisma hacking. And I thought that this was so smart to bring her in as a guest speaker to kind of set the stage for this concept, but also to help break limiting beliefs, right? I kind of mentioned when he was talking about the brain and rewiring the brain, I'm sure people, even myself, when I first took the challenge, I was like, oh my gosh, I can see the stories that I've been telling myself and I can see why I've been thinking about this and I can still see the areas that I need to improve on. And so, you know, I was like, well, you know, is this going to be the right fit for me? And so he brought her on. She's like, you guys can do this. You can't give up. Like everyone has their unique way to do it. So I thought from like a strategy standpoint that it was really wise bringing her on. And of course I was like, you know what? He's probably going to end up putting her in the back end offer. He also went over how to create an irresistible offer. And I should note this, he did say early on day 1 that one of the main goals, he had a few goals of this whole challenge and what people should walk away with at the end of it. One of the goals was helping people create what he calls a level 10 offer. And again, I'm not going to go into the details with this because I want you to be able to experience this and do this yourself. But it is just a type of offer that is just so amazing. People can't say no to it. The second goal of his was to help people prepare a one-to-many presentation. And then the third goal was to help people walk towards a 2 Comma Club award. But what I really love is he renamed it as the 2 Comma Club Award of Impact, which I thought that was actually really cool. It gives people a motivation. I've been wanting my own 2 Comma Club award for a while. And when I get it, I'm going to stick it on my wall. I've gotten it for so many of my clients and I'm like, you know what? It's my turn. I really want one of these. So this was also very encouraging for me on that level. And then last but not least, he went over the basics of creating a framework for what you're teaching and what you're offering. Before we keep going, I forgot that he had mentioned this. So he had put down the numbers that you need to hit to get a 2 Comma Club award and said, for some people, it might be easier if you reverse engineer your goals. So here are all the different things. You can see my notes. I'm like, hey, this one, it probably makes the most sense like with my school, but this is the one that's the most common. And then I could also do a 10K offer and do it for 100 people. But because of the creative done for you services and the amount of time it takes to do those things, that would take a lot longer. And for me, I would like to shortcut my way to having my 2 Comma Club award. So I think for me, it makes the most sense to go for my school. So after a very long day of sitting there and taking notes and learning so much, those of us who were invited to be there, we decided let's go get dinner and hang out and talk about what we learned and get to know each other more and see how we can help one another out. So we went to dinner and we spent a few hours at this bar just getting to know each other, and it was just so much fun. This was such an amazing group to get to experience this with, and we still keep in touch with each other. We're still trying to figure out how to support each other. So it was amazing. Like I'm so grateful and I feel so blessed to be able to have had this experience with this group of people. I also have to give a quick shout out to Doug Bowden. So, like I mentioned earlier on, I'm in his school community because I wanted to learn how to do my own school community. I'm part of one of his programs, and his stuff is so good. I always learn so much from him. And so, to get to meet him in person and talk with him in person was amazing, especially because for months, people were like, "You and Doug need to connect. You guys are hitting it off so well. You both love challenges. You love serving people." And so, it was actually really neat getting to see him. And so, shout out, Doug, if you see this. I hope you're doing well. I believe you're getting married soon. So I hope you and your wife are also doing well. And thank you so much, because I also probably wouldn't have even known about this contest and winning it if you hadn't tagged me in your post. So also thank you for that. After dinner, went back to the hotel, did a little bit of work before going to bed. Then I woke up early and went to this cute little diner to get breakfast, did a little bit more work there, and then went for day 2. And this was my favorite in-person day. Now, something that I loved about this challenge was it was a hybrid challenge, meaning some of the content was live, some of it was pre-recorded content from past masterminds and events, and then some of it was recorded content from the first time that they ran the challenge. So it was a really good mix of things. And everything that they did was very intentional in telling a story, but also helping break objections and helping a person go from one stage to the next. So for day 2, they started the day off with a session from Alex Charfen where he talks about something called the Billionaire Code. And I thought that this was so cool and so valuable. I had never heard about this before. And essentially, Alex studied thousands of entrepreneurs and noticed this pattern in different stages of entrepreneurship. In each stage, a person is asking a different question that gets them to the next level. And I'm probably butchering explaining this, but these screenshots are going to help. There are 9 different levels, and these are like the first 4. So most people are just kind of starting out, right? And he calls them the seeker. They're making between 0 to 40K. They're just dabbling in the idea of entrepreneurship. What they really need to focus on is self-identity. They probably are asking themselves, how do I stop all this pressure and noise? Because they probably have so many ideas and so many different things that they want to do, and they want to increase their income, and maybe they want to increase their impact, but they don't know how to do it. And it can feel really overwhelming. So at this point, they don't have a team, but they could pick a team if they wanted to. But really what they need to focus on is keystone habits, having a routine, planning daily, setting outcomes, and also taking care of themselves. Then the next one is the starter. This person's making between 40 to 100K, and they probably have a full-time job but are working part-time in their own business. They are, they need to focus on market identity, so who their audience is and getting in front of the right people. They're probably asking, what is wrong with me that I have a full-time job and I'm also trying to create my own thing and do my own thing? And honestly, for some people, maybe they aren't even working a full-time job. Maybe they are more focused on this. But anyways, the team at this point is probably them. They're a solopreneur. And in order to get that to that next level, they need to learn how to create and monetize value. Then the next stage is the promoter. This is the stage that I'm in currently. At this point, a person is full-time in their business. Now the focus needs to be on lead generation. They're asking, how do I get ahead? How do I get to the next level? Their team is, yes, they're still a solopreneur, but at this point, they might have a VA or a contractor that is helping them out. But their biggest need is they need to generate more leads and convert consistently. Then the next stage is the builder. This is a person who's between 300K to their first 7 figures. They're working overtime in their business, so more than 40 hours a week in their business. They need to focus on automated lead gen and sales. They're asking, how do I get further ahead? At this point, they might have a partner in the business. They might have multiple assistants and multiple contractors, but their biggest need is leveraging sales. And I loved this video. I thought it was really cool. My jaw was just kind of like, this is brilliant. This is so smart. And it's funny because in the video, at one point you see Pedro in the audience, his jaw was also dropped at this. And I loved it. I love that they started day 2 off with this because it was really cool getting to see where I've been and being like, oh my gosh, yes, when I was in that stage, that's exactly what I was thinking. When I was in that stage, that's exactly what I was thinking. And now that I'm in this stage, I can see what I need to do to get to that next step and that next level. So I love that they started the day off with that. Then they went into the 7-figure funnel debrief. And this was another favorite session of mine because naturally I love to geek out about funnels and strategy. And so he went over the 3 best types of funnels. That is a webinar funnel, a free challenge funnel, and then a live event funnel. He broke down the challenge funnel and webinar funnels that they've been using, and even this event funnel, and what is working and what wasn't working and what they tried. And he gave some tips and techniques and broke down the pages and the flows and then the numbers, the conversions. And so I loved getting to see behind the curtain with all of this stuff. And I found this like incredibly valuable because at this point, right, remember his goals are to help people create a level 10 offer, which he kind of did on day 1. Now today is really helping people create that one-to-many presentation and figure out what's going to be the best method to do this presentation. So he's also been teaching about his perfect webinar framework and talking about the hook, the story, and the offer and the epiphany bridge. And he's just really trying to help give people what they need to get started to do this thing. So McCall Jones, I forgot to put it on here. McCall Jones did come back. She did more of her charisma hacking and talking about her version of what they call the epiphany bridge. Then they had Eric Thayne come in. He teaches people how to create viral videos, viral content. And so he took Russell's hook story offer model and did a 60-second webinar version of it to create viral reels. And the model with that is hook, story, share 3 secrets, and then an offer. It was really neat getting to see that process. And I thought that was a really neat addition to add in. And then, of course, they had the pitch for Prime Mover. And typically in any challenger event, for a 3-day event like this, it makes sense to do the pitch on day 2, and then you kind of repitch it and answer questions and whatnot on day 3. And so they did that. Now, in person, this was a bit different for us. So besides all that really great content, we had 2 really amazing in-person experiences. So the first one was we were talking about books at some point, and Russell was like, "Oh, do you guys want to see my collection?" And we're like, yes, that would be amazing. So we got to go to his office where he has some of his prize collection there. He laid it all out on a table, and it was so neat getting to be behind the scenes and just see him light up and geek out and be so passionate about this stuff. So he went one by one, and we're like crammed in this little office. It was getting really hot, so I had to like scoot out and take off my blazer and whatnot. But anyways, he went one by one. He talked about like why he got it, how he obtained it, how much he paid for it, what it means to him. And it was so neat getting to have this time where we can just watch him be really excited and passionate about this hobby that he has, and getting to see all this stuff like in real life and in person. It's just such a different level of experience. And as if that wasn't cool enough, then we found out before lunch that Russell and Chris were going to have a session where they were going to answer questions live. And instead of asking the people on virtual if they want to ask a question, they were like, we're going to give you guys in person an opportunity to go on stage and kind of have a mini hot seat coaching session with these guys. And I'm like, that's incredible. Oh my gosh, that's absolutely amazing. But I don't really have a question right now. And so they're like, you have time. You have like about an hour and a half to kind of figure something out and let us know. So of course, other people that are like, we already know, we want to ask him. They're like all excited. They get their questions in. They're like, Liz, what are you going to ask? What are you going to ask? And I'll be honest, I didn't know what to ask at first. I couldn't think of anything. I was kind of low key stressed out about trying to come up with something. And then I was like, well, maybe I don't need to do this because like Pedro's my friend and my mentor. He's an amazing marketer. I could just ask him anything, and he gets coached from Russell. So, it's kind of like the same thing. And then I got the physical reactions. I don't know if anybody else is like this, but when there are times where I know I need to do something, but I really don't want to do something and I'm making up excuses to not doing that thing, I kind of get the rumbly guts where it's just this like feeling that I just cannot ignore, and I know I need to do this. So I'm like, oh, dang it. I have to do that. I cannot pass up this experience. So all throughout lunch, I'm thinking about the day. I'm thinking about the content. I'm like, what could I ask that would be super valuable for people? And then also super valuable for where I'm at in my business right now. And I naturally was thinking, well, I should talk about something in the funnel section because that is what I do, right? And it would give us an opportunity to kind of geek out on stage about funnels as well. And so then finally the question hit, and I went to Ben. And I was like, okay, is it too late? I've got a question. I would love to ask him this and have this moment. And so I submitted the question, and sure enough, I found out that it was going to be answered on stage. So here are photos of some of my friends and I. We made it on stage, and we were given this time to be hot seated. They gave us each about 7 minutes, which was so cool. I am so grateful because again, I think I mentioned this early on, people pay thousands of dollars to have a moment like this. And I was given this opportunity completely for free. So I do not take this for granted at all. And so I went up there. I was really nervous and I introduced myself. And what I should also say is Russell and I had not met or talked at this point, which might surprise some of you guys because I'm a new Clickfunnels ambassador and I've been in the Clickfunnels community for a while. And then of course with my, relationship with Pedro, you would think that I've met Russell at some sort of point. But that's not the case. We had never met. And even here, even though this was day 2 and we had done the book thing and all this stuff, him and I had just not talked. So like, he doesn't know who I am. And so it was cool getting to be on stage and be like, hey, here's who I am. This is what I do. I design for many big names in marketing that including Pedro Deo. And then it was like, oh, okay, now I know you, right? And so it was really neat getting to tell him where I'm at and where I want to be and what the goal is. And so my question was, hey, you went over the 3 best types of funnels. Do you have a simple framework with which funnel is best for a person to start out with? Do you recommend going with a webinar funnel first or a challenge funnel? And ironically for me in my situation and what I wanted to do, I was like, I know I do challenges all the time. Like that is what I could do in my sleep, but would a webinar funnel be better for me? And so I will be honest in that I introduced myself and asked the question and then I totally blacked out and I don't really know like what I said after that or what he really told me. All I remember, and I have rewatched it, he did tell me to do a webinar. So that is what I'm in the process of working on right now. But it's so funny because like I honestly like after that moment just like completely like just forgot everything. But I'm so grateful. And people messaged me they were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for asking that because that's the exact thing that I was wondering. And this is evergreen content. So if you do this challenge, you will see me go on stage and ask this. And now I have like a whole nother level of accountability from, like the world, with doing and launching my own thing and doing my own webinar. So I'm so grateful to the Clickfunnels team for inviting me out here and like giving me an opportunity like this. It means so much to me. So after day 2, we all went out to dinner again, got to hang out and chat and brainstorm and come up with all sorts of ideas. I went to bed and then went back for day 3. And I'm going to be very honest in that I didn't pay as much attention on day 3 just because at this point I had so much work I had to do. So I was kind of in and out. And then I was like talking with the Clickfunnels team and doing like a podcast with the Clickfunnels team and then like, doing stuff with other people in person. And so I don't have anything to show you is what I'm trying to say. But I know day 3 was focused a lot on the offer again. And then of course, like answering questions and encouraging people to do and join that. And then on day 4 was their VIP day. So we got to sit in on that and got to see them answer the questions live for VIP. And then what they decided to do was show the previous VIP content. So it was just a full day full of straight fire of VIP stuff. Listen, if you suck at sales and creating an offer and you don't know what you want to do, I highly recommend that you do this challenge. And earlier on, I talked about giving you guys some sort of bonus if you use my link. So here's what I want to do. If you sign up for the Selling Online Challenge using my link below, I want to give you a year into my paid community, Higher Calling Creative Club. And this is where I'm teaching people everything that I've learned and everything I know about design and marketing from the last 16 years of experience. I'm teaching people about branding. I'm teaching people about Canva. I'm going to be teaching people about ClickFunnels. I'm talking about Amazon merch. I'm sharing behind the scenes and my thought process while I'm designing things out. And at the time of this video, I'm still building out a big curriculum for the website module, the graphic design module, and the funnel module. I'm wrapping up some of the branding stuff, but there's already about 40 hours of training that you could dive in and get started with. And then the community is amazing. And this is where people will ask questions. I will film Loom videos to kind of help people out and kind of show them different things. And we're going to be adding some group coaching here in 2025, some virtual co-working as well. There's going to be so many more amazing things to come inside this group. So I want to give this to you as a bonus if you use my link. Now, at the time of this video, to join my club, it's $15 a month or $120 for a year. And that's going up here in 2 weeks to $30 a month or $300 a year. And it's going to increase after that. So this is almost like a BOGO. You get the Selling Online Challenge and you get to be my creative club. Like, how cool is that? Oh, and remember how in the beginning of the video, I was like, this has to be a mistake because I only had one affiliate sale. Well, it wasn't a mistake. I found out that there were a lot of people that had one affiliate sale. I mean, again, this was the very first time that they did this challenge. So they did have people that signed up a lot. They got a lot of affiliate sales, but then they also had a list with people who had one affiliate sale, and they had to pick people to go to this thing in person. So somebody on the ClickFunnels team had been following me for a while. They didn't know that I was a recent ClickFunnels ambassador, and they were like, oh, she should be the one. Let's invite her to come on out here. So I definitely feel like this was for sure a God thing. And I am, again, just so grateful to have had this opportunity and this experience. I hope that this also encourages you to show up and just start sharing your content and start posting, because you never know what opportunities you are going to be given. So that, my friends, is a quick recap of how I ended up at ClickFunnels HQ and what I learned at the Selling Online Challenge. I hope that this encourages you to do the challenge and experience it for yourself. And if you have done this challenge, let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. And if you are about to do the challenge, maybe come back to this video later on when you do it and share your biggest takeaways. I would love to hear that stuff too. But that is it for today's video. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. I will be making more content about school and ClickFunnels and even Canva here pretty soon. But thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And as usual, have fun and happy creating. I'll see you on the next video.